There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're live. Hopefully everyone can hear us. If you want to do us a favor, as always, let us know if the volume levels are good, bad, or indifferent, and we'll adjust as necessary. I'm kind of getting the hang of this, though. So everybody, welcome to the third live stream of Secrets of Saturn. This one is on the Transhuman Trinity. And who are we referring to in this Trinity? We are referring to Elon Musk, Ray Kurzweil, and Zoltan Istvan. All three very interesting figures. Anyway, Wayne McCroy, welcome. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to be here, Jason. I guess we're going live now. Everybody in the chat, could you hear us?
According to all buttons I pushed,
Looks
we're
like
live.
We're live. Awesome. We're rolling. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Secrets of Saturn Live.
All right, looks like everything is functioning. I don't know how much of a delay is on this. That's one of the things that's still messing with me, so we'll see. Anyway, so you have me, Jason Lindgren, Wayne McCroy, and we are also joined by the Great Baldini. Hello.
¿Cómo está?
Welcome, Great Baldini. Crow said he might pop in, but I haven't heard from him, and he needs to go to bed early because he has to get up early tomorrow. So I don't think we'll be hearing from Mr. 777 tonight. All right.
Well, we got a blockbuster crew here to begin with, so we'll be all right.
We do. I think there's enough people who can't shut the hell up on the call as it is, so I think we're good.
It does happen.
That's
you
for
know me
sure.
so well. Yeah.
All right, so as we were saying, we're going to talk about some transhumanism stuff tonight, and all three of these characters. Jason, can I put me on the right side of the screen? I don't know. Can I? Does this work? Like that? Is that better? Okay, well, you guys let me know. I pulled the little boxes around in OBS, so hopefully that is satisfied. Kind of like a Snickers. All right. Good enough.
Moving around.
All right, onward we march. Yeah, this is so different than what I'm used to, where I've got everything just right where I want it. So let's start. Wayne, would you like to start with Elon, Zoltan, or Ray Kurzweil?
Oh, that's a good question. There's so many directions to go in with this. Let's look at our buddy Elon first, because he's all over the place with everything.
I like calling him Uncle Elon because it just sounds ridiculous.
I call him Felon.
He is.
Yeah.
Felon.
The F in there. So I say
the
F
Elon.
So he's a felon, right?
There you go. Perfect. I'm waiting for some big scandal to come out for Elon, because it'll just be a lot of fun to talk about Elongate.
Love
That's
it.
outstanding.
Love it.
Just like the farmer out standing in my field.
Exactly.
All right, so I guess that made people happy. I'm on the right and you're on the left.
Is this the
I'm not
comedy
sure
hour?
why that matters.
Yeah, I didn't know if this was the comedy hour. I heard Crow start doing no arms, guys with no arms and no legs jokes on Owen Benjamin.
He did. He was having a comedy off with the big OB.
That was outstanding. I was even thinking, going, hey, I know a few of those jokes. I could jump in on that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll do a comedy hour tonight as well.
We keep it light here, even though we talk about very serious information every week. We try to be cool and chill and like a conversation among friends. Hashtag Elongate. Exactly.
There you go.
All right, so let's start with Elon. One of the things we can definitely talk about with Elon Musk in relation to transhumanism, well, he's got several companies that he is heavily involved with, but one of which, of course, is the neural thingy. And I watched the presentation from, I think it was July, on Neuralink, the company that he bought, a few years ago, Wayne, right? If I remember correctly.
Yep, he founded it just a couple of years back, and they're talking about doing live human trials in 2020 with this product, and it's called Neural Lace, and the name of the company is called Neuralink, and they're looking to roll this stuff out for medical applications here coming in 2020 for human testing. Now, they've already tested this successfully in lab rats, so that's interesting, and they've had a lot of success with it. Yeah, they could do it. It's we joke about it, but man, I'll tell you, the capacities that are there, it's just unbelievable. The things they'll be able to do if they could implement this in the human being. So.
Well, they've got this thing working. They've got the prototype, or what they're calling the prototype, or the Mark 1 model. I guess it's out of prototype stage. I should correct myself there. And I saw what it looked like, and they showed the robot that does the implanting. It's a tiny, tiny little laser, or tiny, tiny little needle, excuse me. And let's just explain how it works, how far that they've actually come with this connecting you to a computer thing. This is now, we're in the future, guys. Guess what? In 2020, they're going to try and get a human.
Future sucks.
And it's not the Jetsons. We don't have do. No, we've got people wanting to put wires, tiny little wires in your brain connected to a chip. And if I remember correctly, it's 1,000 tiny little wires that are actually smaller individually than a human hair. And it's connected to a tiny little chip that actually goes out and to a little pack around your ear. It looks kind of like an old school hearing aid, and that's got a battery and the Bluetooth transmitter thingy. And this is the greatest thing. They're connecting your brain to your iPhone. They said that one of the big things that they wanted to do was make sure that it's not some unique software that you got to go talk to a bunch of eggheads who they're the only ones that know how to deal with it and all that kind of crap. So they wanted it to be completely user friendly for the individual person who has the implant. So
open source. So that sounds safe and secure.
Well, I don't know if it's open source. They're working with Apple
there. Right.
Right. Because if it's an app,
I wonder if.
Go ahead, Wayne.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll put a notification in there like they do with the phones when you go down under the open source licenses, when they have a disclaimer in there that any damage caused by the NSA is waived. So I kid you not, that's in your cell phone policy. If you go look under your open source licenses, depending what kind of phone you have, it's in there. The NSA reserves the right to actually access that software and access your phone, any information in there, and they don't have any liability for any damages they may cause by doing so.
Yeah, release them both harmless.
That's one of those things. Yep.
Yep.
So, but I wonder if they'll have the same kind of disclaimer on these things. Any damage done by the NSA to your brain is not their fault.
Well, certainly they're gonna protect themselves. I mean, whether they do it explicitly or not, they absolutely will release themselves from any liability without a doubt.
Well, one of the interesting things on the little press thingy they were doing is they said it was actually a recruitment thing as well, which I thought was very interesting. So they're looking to bring more people on board to Neuralink. So they're moving forward with this, and they're very, very serious about it. Now, of course, they always say it with the best of intentions, and this is wonderful. One of the big things they're always touting is trying to get people with conditions of paralysis and things like that to be able to function in a way that they wouldn't be able to otherwise. And that is great. I'm not saying that's not great. Obviously, medical technology is a beautiful thing, and we live in an era that's can do things that we certainly couldn't 100 years ago. But there's always that line of, where are we going? Where could this go? Let's see how dangerous this could be.
Sure, just like cryptocurrency in a cashless society, they're always going to sell it as a positive first, right? So that they'll make it desirable and that you want it. And they've been trotting out the first instances of implanted RFID chips. So hey, it's great. I can go to work and I don't have to get I don't lose my badge, and we can buy snacks at the vending machine. Isn't that great?
With a wave of your hand, like Zoltan has in his I think his right hand, if I remember correctly.
Sure, there'd be a hand wave dismissal, right?
All right, Wayne, take it further. What else we got? Let's talk about Elon some more.
All right. Well, Mr. Musk has his hands in a lot of different things. The big thing relating to transhumanism, though, is this whole Neuralink company. Along with Neuralink, there are competitors out there working on very similar products that I think people need to keep their eyes on. Now, Mr. Musk is kind of our poster child that we're given to look at for all of this stuff. He's the main figure that the media wants you to look at with this, but quietly in the background, there's other companies working on similar things. One in particular is a company called Kernel that I've been keeping an eye on, and that's spelled Kernel.
Like Kernel
that
software.
one is also developing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's that one is also developing a neural lace type device that they've been working on now for the past several years. I haven't heard anything in the mainstream come out about that yet, though. But last I checked, it would seem that they were a little bit ahead of the game from Neuralink with the different applications and stuff they were looking at with it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. But that's the thing. Elon Musk is in the position he's in for one reason and one reason only, and that's to keep the public distracted.
He's got
why
really
else would
nice
you
hair.
have this guy? Yeah. Why else would you have this guy running around talking about, oh, here, this is my newest project. This is Neuralink. We're going to hook your brain to a computer. And by the way, did you see my fancy new truck that's with the indestructible windows that smash right out? And
Yeah, everything works perfect.
He was even selling flamethrowers at one point. So,
Yeah, and
this guy's got his hands in a little bit of everything.
Yeah, he's still doing that. The flamethrower, and clearly,
Spaceballs, the flamethrower.
Exactly. I mean, clearly he's an actor
The
character,
kids
right?
love this one.
But I think he's clearly an actor character. He's been touted as a genius, and certainly the three of us sitting here, I don't think he could, win a battle of tiddlywinks with any of the three of us, right? I've heard him talk, and he's not bright, and he gets caught in his own circuitous circumlocution, right? He just backs himself into a corner and says amazing things like, well, it has to, it's real because it looks so fake. That he really did step into it there. So, I mean, what you've seen, and I think you'll continue to see him out front and not hear too much from Colonel and these other places as they do it in the background. As he's the poster child for the up front, and everybody oohs and ahs over him as he plays both sides of the fence, right? So his angle here is that while AI is releasing he's likened it to opening summoning the demon, right? That and he's I can't remember the exact quote, but it basically goes, it's the guy sitting there with the salt and making the circle, and he's got the pentagram. He's like, sure, I can manage this, and he summons the demon. And so his whole push for the Neuralink and the AI thing is that we get ahead of it. So basically, if you can't beat him, join him, so that we're able to stay on top of it and be connected to it rather than be run over it. And that's kind of his take on it. And that's sort of how his push in the front.
Everybody
the
say hi to
guy's got to be
Pluto.
a genius because he sounds so dumb.
Yeah. He's a genius because he sounds so retarded. Yeah.
Yes.
I like it.
So he's got to be.
He's got
That's
to
the
be.
way it works, right?
That's right. Yes. Well, according to Greta Thunberg, autism is the new genius. I mean, again, nothing. My wife is on the autism spectrum, and she's got an IQ of 168. So,
is that all?
So, yeah, she keeps up. But no, she's but again, it's a spectrum. But what we've been shown is that we've been stigmatized with all kinds of mental health. So that's supposed to be now it's a superpower, right? And I think my wife would be the first to argue against that. It's not a superpower. It's a struggle, right? To interact socially. But anyway, back to Elon. He does appear to have some issues of his own, and even his hairline. It has to be real because it's so fake. Because the pictures of him from his early 20s, his hairline is almost as receded as mine. And I am the Great Baldini. That'll tell you something about that. And now he's got a full head of hair. So
Billions of dollars will do that.
Yeah, right.
You can go to the William Shatner School of Hair Implants.
That's right. Come on. Exactly.
You too can have a full head of hair.
Have a full head of hair. So Neuralink, the CEO, what's his name, Jared Birchall. Where do you know him from, Wayne? Previously, Birchall. Do you know his background?
I'm not familiar with background. I've just mostly kept my eyes on Elon because that's who they flaunt around all the time. So,
yeah. Okay. Because
what
he
can
was.
you tell me about that?
Well, no, I mean, I just know I've heard the name, and I know I see that he's both the CEO and CFO, and that's a very unusual situation for any tech company that you would sit in both those seats. It's a centralization of power, right? So when you're both the CEO and CFO, that gives me some interesting hints as to what's going on there.
That definitely raises a red flag. I would say, could this be Elon's handler? Maybe it's possible.
Possible. I mean, they've been super secretive, right? It's privately held, so they don't have to release any documents. So it is certainly something I would say to keep your eyes very closely on. I mean, anything that they tell us is going to be a lie. I think, but what you could say that categorically with just about any media source, anything that they tell us as a public relations move is going to be not the truth. But a lot of things become apparent by their absence, right? So if something's should be there and it's not, keep an eye on that sort of thing. But I have to do maybe some quick search on Jared, because I've seen his name before, and I think that he was related to DARPA. Regina Dugan, she was a DARPA.
What a shocker!
Right, and Regina.
What a shocker!
Dugan, right? She's at Google now, and she was also at DARPA, and she was the one responsible for the digital tattoos, and right. So, so they're all they're in bed together, and that's a scene I don't want to see play out personally, but. Anyway, didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just again, this is I try to keep an eye on these guys as well, and they're connected to. I'm sure you know this, Wayne. There's a transhumanist party, the U.S. Transhumanist Party.
There was two of them actually. They just merged.
Yeah.
Oh, did they? Okay.
There was the Transhuman Party and the Transhumanist Party. If am recalling correctly, the Transhumanist Party was Zoltan Istvan's party that he started. And
Okay.
they were kind of touting themselves as liberals. Before I forget, by the way, let me take a moment to say hello to all the bears that I'm seeing come into the chat room. Welcome. Thank you so much to Owen Benjamin for all the amazing things that he's been doing to help Crow and myself. He's been totally awesome to us. So hello to all of you. Maybe Owen's even listening. Who knows?
Gravy tonight.
We'll try and kick out the gravy, man. Absolutely. So hello to all you guys. I see a few of you coming into the chat room there. And by the way, hello to the Fringe FM. We should be also going out live for at least the full first hour. Don't know if it's both hours or not. I haven't heard back from Joe yet as far as that, but we'll at least be on the Fringe FM for an hour. So hello to everyone there. Anyway, carry on, Wayne.
Okay, we'll carry on for sure. Yeah, definitely. If you see anybody associated with these things that has military ties and intelligence ties, that should be very telling on the face of it, because a lot of these companies wind up being military subcontractors. And the reason that the military subcontracts out so much is that way these companies are not subject to FOIA requests. That's something people don't necessarily realize. But FOIA requests are not available for private industries. So that's why a lot of these companies like, say Neuralink, I don't know if they're a military subcontractor at this point, but there's other big ones that like Lockheed and all of these other ones that are big major military contractors.
And there you go. That's where I know Birchall from. He's associated with Boeing. And Boeing's located here.
There you go.
Where I'm from. So I knew his name from somewhere. So yeah, he's got six. He's got his fingers. This is Birchall in 6 companies, including Boeing. So Neuralink, and then some other hacking groups. So anyway, didn't mean to interrupt there, but I knew that as soon as you mentioned Lockheed, I'm like, yep, they're tied in with the military-industrial complex.
There you go. And there's the tie right there that binds. And that's what's going on with a lot of this stuff. This way, they have these private industries are keeping the secrets. So the government, has a non-disclosure policy for that stuff because they can't. They can't make this stuff liable for FOIA, for Freedom of Information Act requests. And that's how they keep some of the secrets secret, is they subcontract out to these military subcontractors and stuff like your Lockheeds and your Boeings and your, all of the other ones.
McDonnell Douglas and all
go along with it.
Yeah.
McDonnell Douglas, GE. People don't realize that GE too.
Sure. Oh yeah. Well, it's all
GE was involved with the military-industrial complex way back when. I've looked into that. Yeah. You're talking all the way back into the radio days when that was first coming around.
Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. And the compartmentalization is what helps it. The need to know, right? So
sure.
even people directly involved don't know what they're doing.
Well, no, and this is something maybe we could take a moment to address because it's such a universal concept. The whole concept of compartmentalization is how not one person other than the top of the top of the top is going to know the big picture. Like you could even apply this to, say, Apollo. Your great grandpa worked on the nuts and bolts that went on the buggy. So obviously it went to the moon. Well, no, that doesn't prove diddly squat. All that proves is that they made nuts and bolts that
He made
supposed to be
nuts and bolts.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but that's it. And that's
was
how they ran everything.
And that was exactly the reason why they put, for example, the Apollo program in so many subcontractors' hands, and they go, "Oh, we had 400,000 people working on it, so it couldn't have been it couldn't have been a conspiracy." Well, the reason they got 400,000 people in the private sector working on it, is so everybody could say I was involved, and they felt they took ownership, they felt that they were a part of it, and so they were proud of it. And of course, they then go out and defend it. Of course, it's real because I made this nut and this bolt. My granddad made this nut, right? And he got paid for it. Right. So that's how the compartmentalization works and the spreading around of things. And, it's funny that I'm having a brain fart now. The guy that Apollo killed with the lemon.
Gus Grissom.
Grissom, right.
And the other two.
And,
Ed Mitchell.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
But Grissom specifically, before his unfortunate alleged accident, said, that they're going to send us to the moon with the each one of these parts were built with the lowest bid contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
makes perfect sense, doesn't it? I mean, you're talking. This is supposed to be the biggest accomplishment of mankind ever, and they look at it. It looks like it's held together by duct tape and tin foil, and
it's the tweaker shelter, right? The homeless tweaker shelter for sure. You look at that thing. Imagine going down into the bottom of the ocean, and that's about 1/10,000th the amount of pressure in reverse that you would have in a 10 to the -17 torr vacuum. You're right. I mean, again, and the greatest accomplishment in the history of mankind, and we erased over those tapes. Because we needed the
because they needed the tape, because their budget wasn't good enough in the early 1970s that they had to erase priceless telemetry data that would never be had again, and then they lost all the technology on top top of it.
We destroyed the technology.
Sorry, that's a little unbelievable.
And it's painful. It's a painful process to build it
painful.
back again.
It's a painful process.
Painful process.
It's a painful process to bring back.
That's a little like, honey, I accidentally recorded wrestling over our wedding video.
Yeah. But it was a good one.
Same kind of thing.
Oh, before I forget, I saw a couple people making mention of something that I actually think is really important. They were talking about the Bill Cooper Mystery Babylon series. Here's my public service announcement for the Bill Cooper Mystery Babylon series. Go through all 42 or 43 episodes, I forget exactly how many there are, every year. Go through it once a year and figure out just how much crap that Bill Cooper put in there. Now, I have a lot of secondary thoughts about Bill Cooper, especially his early days, but he got his shit together for the most part later on, and that series is fan-freaking-tastic. Wayne, you probably have something to chip in about that if Baldini doesn't.
That'll give you a college education in the esoteric.
You walk away with a master's degree after that. Because I've double and triple checked some of that info. Not every bit of it, but it's some good gravy.
It's absolutely, and I would just, my thing is always kind of point out when people go, this guy's a shill, or he's a co-intel pro. Bait, traps don't work if there's no bait in it, right? So that you're gonna get true information in there, and Bill Cooper's no exception. Even if he were controlled opposition, he threw out some of the best bait there was. I mean, again, George Carlin, I consider him controlled opposition. Again, put it in humor, right? You put that stuff in humor, but it doesn't mean that what they were saying wasn't legitimate. I mean, so I always say just eat the meat and throw away the bones. Learn to use good discernment. But Bill Cooper definitely he had consolidated feces for sure. he had his shit.
Yes, he did.
Sorry.
Well, pretty much he's one of the only people we know that really did put his money where his mouth is, and they gunned him down for it. And that's a fact. That's completely on the record that he got blown away outside of his house.
Yep,
no doubt about it.
It is what it is.
One of those things. He must have been saying something that the powers that be didn't like.
Well, just a few days before 9/11, said, "Hey, something's gonna happen with Osama bin Laden, and when it happens, and they blame him, don't you believe it?" And that was pretty much the last thing I heard him say publicly.
Yeah, no, I've heard some of the last broadcasts. I've heard the ones where he's gone after Alex Jones big time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I didn't mean to sidetrack us. So back to felon Muskovich. and his lovely hair.
Seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, he does seem like a really, really super guy. But yeah, with the Neuralink thing, again, my take being that he's the poster child for out front, and to make it look fun and exciting, and it's the Tesla of your brain, right? And to make it desirable, while they sneak in all the good backdoor stuff. And I'm curious to get your take, Wayne, on. I mean, I'm sure we'll get there at some point during this conversation, but my thoughts generally on it is what's going to happen as soon as what's going to be the first hacking case, right? That somebody's going to outdoor break through the quote unquote firewall and hack into somebody's limbic system, right? And try to take control of your pineal gland. So I think security is always going to be a risk there. But what do you think on that, Wayne?
I think that's the main reason that they have the quantum computers for the encryption capability. And I think that this all ties hand in hand with one another. Because let's face it, the intelligence agencies, they want to own the capability to hack the human brain.
Yeah, I was going to say
that's what it's all about.
Yeah, the encryption isn't to prevent it; it's to allow it. Right. Yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely, and it's to allow only them to be able to do so.
Exactly.
That's what the encryption's about.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, your standard average hacker is not going to have access to something as pricey as a quantum computer. So I think that's by and large what this is all about. Because one of the biggest companies that owns a quantum computer and is using a D-Wave quantum computer right now is an encryption firm in DC. I can't think of the name of the company off the top of my head, but they're one of the few people that actually owns one of these D-Wave computers.
Sure, so there's only a few of them so far.
Yeah, right. NASA has one, Caltech, Stanford, MIT. It shares time with Caltech, right? And then, I think there's only 5 of them out there in current.
There's one at Purdue University that's they use sentient world simulation for that. On that one, there's one there. There's also one, I forget the name of it's a military subcontractor that does internet security and all of that stuff. I can't think of the name of it, but they also have one, and it's right there in DC.
So my question is, let's take one moment to say hello to Shinzo the Great. We have our first super chat for $1.99 who says, have an awesome show, guys. Thank you so much. If you have a question, hit us up, man. I'll be happy to read it on the air. But what would happen if you Neuralinked up to a D-Wave?
That's a good
Inquiring
question.
minds want to know.
Well, I mean, and so keep in mind though that the quantum computers like the D-Wave, they're not the fastest. They run on the principle of the quantum computing, which I can't even verify really as a thing that the way they're describing. I mean, the real supercomputers out there are the stuff that, again, the NSA, the Cray supercomputers, and they're cray. No, but the Cray supercomputers, those are the ones that NSA is doing the real-time world simulations on. They're doing multiple simulations at a time, but I do think that the quantum computing is tying into it. But those are where the real teraflop processing per second. I mean, those are the guys that are really, really crunching the numbers. Are the alphabet agencies, right? They're the ones who are really doing the current simulations in real time. And when they take over, I mean, I'm sure we'll get there, but ultimately, when they get everybody to buy in and get a chip, and they're going to, have real-time monitoring and control. It's going to be the board, right? That seems to be what they're pushing for. Is that we're all the benefits are we can all talk to each other without a cell phone or a pocket.
Yeah.
But there is really no privacy at that point.
No, and that's going to be a term that you're going to hear come about within about the next 5 years or so that you'll hear more and more. It's called cognitive liberty, and that's going to be one of the big issues in the near future because of this whole idea of technology and being able to connect your brain to the Internet of Things and the Internet of Thoughts, which is also a coming thing. Yeah, the Internet of Thoughts.
The Internet of Thoughts. Let's get to that in 1 second. Trey Clark, well, I know who you are. Thank you for the $9.99. You got a question, brother? Good to see you here.
I heard Trey Clark sucks. No, he said. he said.
What do you mean you heard? He says loud and proud.
Wrote a little song about it. A little something I guess.
But yeah, let's talk about the Internet of Thought because, You know, it's one thing to have an Internet of Things, and maybe we should just do a quick review here. So we have the Internet, which is what we're on right now. They're trying to do an Internet of Things, which is all of the things like your toaster talking to your washing machine that's screwing the refrigerator and all that kind of thing. And those things are all going to communicate and report on you in real time back to whomever that might be. And then, well, that's bad enough, I think. I think that's part of what the whole 5G tie-in is going to be. Oh, we just got another one. $2 from Berserker Bear. Thank you so much. Secrets of Saturn services the country gravy. Thank you, Berserker Bear. Right, yes, we do.
So
we try our best.
And then when we get to Ray Kurzweil, he is one of the big pushers of the BCI, the Brain Cloud Interface, right? That he's that's kind of his baby, is the what he's calling the BCI, the Brain Cloud Interface.
Yeah. So think about this for a moment, folks. This is what they're trying to do. They've got the 5G network they're setting up, which is going to be stupid fast. And it's not just so you can watch the latest crappy Star Wars movie that sucks beyond all belief. Solo lost money, remember? And no, that's for all this insane amount of information to be zapped all over the place from everyone's house and everyone's device and all that crap. And now they're trying to convince you to want to put it in your head. Do you want to do that? Do you want to be part of the collective? I mean, we're not kidding here when we make jokes about the Borg. Everyone's going to be Locutus soon. But anyway, Wayne, I kind of interrupted you there. Go ahead and carry on.
Yeah, this is kind of a really disturbing take on things.
It is.
It's true. I mean, that's exactly what they're looking for. They want to connect everybody's thoughts together on the Internet of Thoughts. And this is going to be a subsystem of the Internet of Things. And the reason that they need this data speed that they're pushing with the 5G, and actually I think that the 6G network that'll be coming afterwards will be another big step up in as far as that goes. They're looking for the data speed. They're looking at being able to transmit data at the speed of thought, and that's what they need in order to make this thing a reality. So
and that's one of the side effects on the 5G. I mean, it can also be used as, again, targeted weaponized. Looking into the specific frequencies that they have, you can certainly do basically real-time visualization of a room. You can really map it in real time, in the same way that echolocation or sonar radar kind of works. You're using the same ideas at millimeter wave scale. So you can use it at that platform, just at the 5G level, and then just the basic data I've seen on the 6G is mind-boggling. It's there's no question. You can't look at it without saying it's designed as a weaponized system with data carrying as a secondary or tertiary level function. It is specifically designed as a weaponized system, in my opinion.
So we have James True in the chat room. Hey, James, I'm looking forward to recording with you next week. But he said the singularity is the Lucifer, and I think he might be right about that. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I figured we'd get there later, but 110%.
We're kind of building toward that with this whole interconnectedness thing. But
you beat us to the punch, brother.
Yeah, exactly. He went right for that big red target in the middle. It's like, bing, there it is.
Yeah, he's just like, shut the show down. We got it. I got you covered.
We got it.
You got it, man. Oh, I see all sorts of people. I see Karen B. I saw Ben Balderson here. We Brian Staley. We got
There's
the whole
crew. There's a couple people I know here. Yep. Karen B.
Quite a few in the chat room there.
Rocker Chick. I know a lot of these folks. There's somebody named Rose that keeps talking a lot. She sounds familiar. I'm not sure.
This is where the cool kids hang out. What are we doing here, Wayne?
I have no idea, honestly. No idea how we wound up here in the cool kid table.
I know.
You know?
That's pretty awesome.
So,
thanks for inviting us, by the way, Jason. Yeah, you are the cool kid.
Well,
yeah, Jason's the cool kid.
I hope I've got the cool table in the lunchroom here, and I welcome, as of right now, 108 people.
Outstanding. Okay, so we
Indeed.
all interrupted. Wait, we keep interrupting.
I
Wayne,
know.
we get all excited.
That's
but,
the beautiful part about a live stream. I like this, that it's a lot more,
Gotta love
more
it.
chill. Hey, Brian.
So yeah, and
what's up?
I gotta tell you, this is my my first live stream. Most of the shows that I've done have been recorded, and I was before we got together tonight, I was listening to your last stream, and I was like, oh, I should have been on that one because subliminal program, man, I go way back into the '80s on that one. I know more about that than this, but that was a great show, and but yeah, this is my first live stream, so I'm. Live stream, yeah. See, that's the beauty of live podcasting.
Oh yeah, actually, this format is really easy for me. I'm normally very particular about everything being perfect with released episodes, but we decided to do the live stream when Wayne and I came up with the idea, so that we can have it be a more chill and relaxed, more like a conversation amongst friends. And if somebody happens to hiccup, oh freaking wow, it is what it is. But anyway,
yeah, I thought Russell Babbitt,
Babbitt, we know him too.
Brussels Rabbit, yeah, I thought he was going to hand me a blunt or something. I was like, it was so chill.
Hey Don, I know who you are too. Yep. I'm trying to pay attention to the chat room as much as I can, so I'm not ignoring anybody on purpose. I'm just kind of glancing over as it's flying by here. I'll get better at this. This is only my third rodeo. Sue, I know Sue. Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Anyway, all right,
well,
we keep interrupting Wayne.
On the rodeo, and okay, so back to
Wayne, get back on that pony.
Yeah. All right, yeah, Bubba. Alrighty then.
Okay. Only a handful of rodeos here between us all, so
okay, so
we'll figure it out as we go.
So Wayne is the
live.
Rodeo clown. He's the rodeo. All right, so he's taking us back to Elon Muskovich and his exciting Neuralink technology.
Muskovich.
Comrade Mikro, you will continue the transhumanist conversation.
Yeah. It is most important you put in this brain. Not drink vodka. Yeah.
It was moose and squirrel.
Moose and squirrel.
Yes, Boris, darling.
Well, Rocky, now watch me pull the rabbit out of my hat.
Oh my God, he's too good at that.
He does voices too. That's great. Who knew? It's
all right, Wayne. Where are we at here? We don't want to get too sidetracked.
Okay, so here's my question.
I have no idea.
It's like we're all sitting around drinking scotch or something.
I wish, but here's my question for Wayne. As we go through these guys, would you agree that of the players that we're talking about tonight, Elon Musk is the Boris Badenov of the group? He is the rodeo clown and the one most out front, but least to be taken seriously.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's playing the part really well. That's the thing. That's the job that they gave him. He's the poster child. Let's put it that way. Yeah. He's the poster boy for all of this stuff. They put him out there front and center. We're going to Mars. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're going to Mars. Okay. Yeah, we might go to Mars once you get your Neuralink thing in your head and you think you went to Mars. They made a movie.
I saw that movie.
Total Recall back in the 90s. Yeah, we were
see you at the body, Rita.
Weren't we?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Wayne's all excited. I can just tell he's just giggling so hard now.
Yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, but yeah, back to the point. Elon's the figurehead. Let's put it that way. They put him out front to draw everybody's attention to these different things. It's like, look over here. It's the magician's trick. He's telling you, look over here. In the meantime, they have other stuff going on, and DARPA and the DoD have their hands all over all of this stuff. So it's one of those things.
I think not just the hands all over, but I think they're behind, just in the same way that we see, Facebook, they came out, was it 45 days after they shut down the NSA version of it. So it's again, as you say, it's the magician's trick. It's sort of bait and switch. It's a fun-loving cover that they put on the front of it. It's Mad Magazine comic book up front to make you like it, right? So it becomes something that you want. You want to be a part of. You don't want to be, you got the fear of being left out, right? So that's where I see it going. Is why he's in front. Is he's the guy to make it fun and exciting, and you don't want to be left out. And this is going to be just like the iPhone was when it first was released. You don't want to be the last guy on the block to get it. And stand in line to get that chip and salsa.
Got to have the salsa with the chip.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the brain salsa is going to be? We know they're bringing the brain chips, but what about the brain salsa? What do you think the salsa is going to be, Baldini?
Well, I can tell you that with the human brain cloud interface thing that Kurzweil was talking about, right, is that the scary part to me is that they really are this whole idea of nanorobots, right? They really are pushing that, and they've got things now that I mean, they're suggesting that they can use these items that go through the neocortex and actually cross the blood-brain barrier. And I know that, and this again now ties into the real conspiracy stuff of the chemtrailing, is that they are using, aluminum nanoparticulate matter, and that is small enough once it gets absorbed into the skin and once it gets in the bloodstream, that is small enough to cross the blood-brain barrier. And that means, again, tied in with 5G, that's like sticking aluminum foil in a microwave, right? So it can be directly accessed. So to me, I mean, as I look at this stuff, I see that it's all tied together. We look at these just like the compartmentalization. We look at these as separate rabbit holes in the big conspiracy theory, but ultimately, I think it is all going to tie together. None of these, from what I watch, these right, the PIC people in charge or whatever, there's very little wasted motion, and even the things that they do as a distraction have some meaningful the value to it to them. So whether that's to inject fear porn or to just create a distraction or use as predictive programming, everything they do has got some value to it. But ultimately, to me, I see the all these things, whether it's the Internet of Thought, whether it's the 5G, whether it's the chemtrailing, they're all interrelated, pushing toward a main goal. And when we get to the singularity and who's behind it, I think that's where it's going to come out, and you're going to see at some point. I think that's going to be the savior, right? To me, that's what the AI is pushing to be. Is they're going to push it as the idea that it's impartial. It can't be corrupted, and so it will be given the rules of robotics, and that it's going to put mankind first, and it's going to be fair, and so it can be the leader of us all, and then we're all going to connect to it with the Internet of Thought, with that chip, and then they've got total control over everyone and everything.
And I think I totally sync up with everything you just said there.
Oh, we're in sync.
Yeah.
We're ahead.
Yeah, I know. That sounds spot on to me.
Don't get your neural laces
crossed. Just to back up what you're saying here, just in case people think that this technology is in the realm of science fiction, I'm going to read a little portion of an article that was from. This is actually a research paper. And it's from Frontiers in Neuroscience, issue 13 of 2019, starting at page 112. And this is an abstract about human brain and cloud interface. And I'm just going to read a little portion of this, starting towards the end here of the abstract of this paper. It says, a neural nano-robotically enabled human BCI might serve as a personalized conduit, allowing persons to obtain direct, instantaneous access to virtually any facet of cumulative human knowledge. Other anticipated applications include myriad opportunities to improve education, intelligence, entertainment, traveling, and other interactive experiences. A specialized application might be the capacity to engage in fully immersive experiential sensory experiences, including what is referred to here as transparent shadowing, TS. Pay attention to that term, folks. Transparent shadowing. Through TS, or transparent shadowing, individuals might experience episodic segments of the lives of other willing participants, locally or remote, to hopefully encourage and inspire improved understanding and tolerance among all members of the human family. And there you go. That's what they're talking about in serious scientific research journals about this stuff, about the nanotech. This is the real deal right now. And I would argue that the state of this technology is far in advance of what they're rolling out publicly. I think Neuralink is a distraction. I think they've been there, done that. They're able to build these self-assembling neurological robots that can self-assemble inside the human body and create this neural lace type device within the human body without people even realizing it's going on, and upload information that way.
So is
Okay.
I really
And
have firm
I'll
reason
back
to believe this is going on now.
and I'll back up what you just presented there, Wayne. With again, this is from WorldHealth.net, right? Which is that's from the American Academy of Anti-Aging. So again, anti-aging tying in with the transhumanism. We're going to extend your life, right? So they're saying basically the exact same thing, that they're already doing this with mice. That one of their biggest challenges in using the nanoparticulates and nanorobots is that they need the bandwidth, and there's where your 5 and 6G come in. They have the supercomputing power already necessary. They just need the transmission to be able to do this. And so they've already been able to, let me read this, in living mice already to couple external magnetic fields to neural electric fields, right? So the field capacitance from your brain already, that is to detect and locally amplify these magnetic signals to allow them to alter the electrical activities of the neurons. So it's a two-way street. They're saying that both you can both control your environment, but also, again, have it reverse, go into you and influence your thoughts. So here we go. This could work in reverse. Electrical signals produced by neurons and neurorobots can be amplified via magnetoelectric nanoparticles to allow the detection outside the skull. All right. So a detailed analysis of the biodistribution and biocompatibility of nanoparticles is required before they can be considered for human development. But they already have done it in living mice. Here's the disclaimer. Even though there's a great potential for good, there's just as much potential for negative if one thinks it's worth the risk. And then they poo-poo that right away, saying, we've got our hands all over it. Dr. Ian Malcolm, mathematician specializing in chaos theory. Where have we seen that before, Jason? So again, it all ties together, right? So chaos theory, where do you know that from? Order out of chaos, right? So these guys, when you look, yeah, right. So when you put all these things together and look at who's moving the pieces, that they are all wearing the same jerseys.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
It's okay, guys. These guys have nothing but your best interest in mind.
Absolutely.
So they'll take care of it all.
Whose best interest?
They won't possibly do anything nefarious with this.
Never. That would never happen, Wayne.
Never in a million years. Who would think for an instant? Yeah, who would think for an instant that, say, government institutions or subcontractors would, maybe do something that doesn't benefit the public, but, lines their pocketbook or benefits them in some way, shape, or form? I don't know. Never happen, right?
Never. So, all right. So now we have Elon Musk. He's out in front. He's the poster child rodeo cowboy clown. He's waving the red flag at the bull. And now who are the bulls? Now we got the Ray Kurzweil, and he's been around for a long time, and he's been doing the background work as a futurist. So tell us more about Ray.
I love Ray Kurzweil. Every time I see him, his hair gets even better.
I love his keyboards. I've been playing Kurzweil keyboards since the K250.
Do you want to show off a little bit, Great Baldini?
No.
No.
No, that's not. I don't do that.
Okay.
But the studio. I worked at a studio way back in the day, and we had one of the first 18 of their units. The big K250. It had ivory and ebony keys, like real wooden keys covered in it was bone. So because ivory had just been outlawed, but it was I don't know, $36,000, something like that. Still fully loaded was the first sampling keyboard, and one of the first songs that they did. Every single part was done. I remember. Let's see, what was the name of the movie? So the theme song to let's see, it was Man in Motion. St. Elmo's Fire was the name of the movie, and the theme song to that.
I remember that one.
Every single sound. Yep, every single sound on that song is done with that keyboard. It was kind of a showpiece for it. And once that came out, I mean, you can tell it's got a little funky, but all the studio musicians in L.A., they got a little shook up when they realized all those orchestral parts could be done by a keyboard player. And a lot of people really, even string and horn players, learned to play keyboards real fast. But yeah, I mean, Kurzweil as a as a musician, they've had the best, by far the best piano samples in that I've heard, and they're really, but less so on the synthesizer sounds. It still goes to like Yamaha and Korg and Roland and those guys, but when it comes to natural samples and pianos and stuff, Kurzweil by far leads the pack, and that was just a sideline for him. He really is. He's been pushing the transhumanist thing for a long time.
That's right. And it must be working for him because his hair does keep getting better every time I see his conferences.
Well, he takes mine. That's why I'm Baldini, right? He took all my hair.
That rich bastard.
I know it.
Well, see, that's one of the big benefits of transhumanism is we'll all have great hair. So,
so I'm out.
They'll be able to grow all new hair.
No, you're gonna be right in because they're going to embrace you.
I'll be the cutest of cue ball, right?
They already did a cue ball. They're gonna give you like a I don't know, maybe a pompadour or something. Yeah.
Oh, I'll turn from Baldini into Hairdini, and then I'll disappear. It'll be my disappearing act. All right. Yes. No. So anyway, so let's segue if we want to Ray.
I actually have some of his predictions pulled up. Let me get back to the page I have here on my phone.
I was hoping you would.
Yeah.
I was hoping you would.
Go ahead and start, Wayne, because I must have closed the page up by accident. Let me find it here.
Yeah, I've got it handy too.
Yeah. Now this is a big thing. He's put out multiple books since I think the 90s, if I remember correctly, and every time in these books he would have groups of predictions, and he would kind of do it by decades-ish. He did 90s to the 2000s, then 2010, then 2020, 2050, and beyond. And the beyond stuff is pretty freaking crazy, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And, yes, it is.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah, so to delineate, I mean, he was one of the first guys really talking about artificial intelligence and nanotechnology and putting those things together. And so really, whenever he initially said, when I first heard him say it in the, late 80s, it was considered like, people were like, oh, yeah, right, Ray. okay, guy.
Yeah, well, that's before you got with Google.
Right, and I think people didn't realize, in the way that most people don't realize now, is that what the military-industrial complex is working on is literally decades ahead of anything that we get shown in sci-fi movies, and that's including Moore's Law. All right, so what they're actually implementing is so far out in front of what most people can even envision that, again, we can go back to the old quote, it would be, for most people, indistinguishable from magic. They wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Right, and not only that, Moore's Law is a thing of the past now.
Yeah.
They invented in 2014 publicly. This came out. They invented what's called a nano-finite state machine, and what this basically does is it takes away the problem of Moore's Law. The computing power could be whatever they need it to be, using these little nano devices that will network together to create the computing power that they need.
Sure,
so
and that's what the idea of the quantum computer
law.
And qubits is, right? So once you get into qubits, right. you don't, Moore's Law is obviated. It doesn't become a roadblock or barrier anymore because you have these multi-state. They exist in multiple states at the same time.
Right, and another thing, the quantum computers run on something called Rose's Law now. They use that. That's in place of Moore's Law. But
so
even
Rosicrucians now run
it. Well, it was named after Geordie Rose, the head.
Oh, I know.
The COO.
Sure, yeah, I know Geordie.
But yeah. So, but that's who it was. This law was named after, but this was the same kind of concept as Moore's Law. But even that is something of the past now, because now they're talking about being able to use these quantum computers to create not just 3 different states, but 4 states. I've seen that come out just recently too.
I just noted in the chat that Seabear asked, do you guys think they are dropping live nanotech on us right now via chemtrails?
Yeah, I was just about to get to that. Let's talk about that for a moment.
All right, so Wayne, you first.
Let's talk about that. If anybody's interested, up on Vimeo right now, you could see my presentation from Shoot the Moon NYC, where this is exactly what I talk about. This is, I think, what is going on. Definitely, we're being sprayed with it's been shown there's aluminum nanoparticles, barium, strontium, all these different particulates that are coming from these chemtrails that they vehemently deny, but yet they also verify, and they call it geoengineering or solar radiation management or any number of other things right now that they're saying that this is supposedly going to be the thing that stops the whole runaway global warming thing that they claim is going on. They're going to block out the sun and cool the planet to save us from ourselves, pretty much.
Sure, we're not doing it, but we're of course we're not doing that, but we're doing this, which looks the same, and it's a bad idea, but we have to. Yeah, right.
No, there's no chemtrails, but there's geoengineering.
Exactly.
You could call it whatever.
Let's play with words now, people.
Right. Homocumulus clouds. What does that mean? Man-made.
Man-made.
Yeah, I mean.
And how many new clouds was it that got added in the past few years? I'm
24, I think.
It's in the 20s. I know it's quite a few.
But anyway, so back to that question: are they using chemtrails to drop nano robotics on us right now? So one vote, Wayne says yes, and it has a presentation to back it up.
Yes, it does.
Mr. Lindgren.
Yeah, no, I think a very strong, definitely maybe. While we don't have exactly
nice commitment from you. I like the way you take a firm stance on that.
Maybe
I like rigid barriers of doubt and uncertainty.
Maybe.
No, I think that there's a very strong possibility of that, and the problem is we don't know exactly what is in the chemtrails, but we do know that there's very minute particulate of several different kinds of things, and they're metallic. So minimally, I have thought that it must be being used as some sort of antenna system. But for all we know, with the amount of money that must be getting dumped into the geoengineering programs, it's got to be, there's a distinct possibility that it's being used for multiple purposes, if I can spit the words out.
Oh, there's been multiple other things other than just metal nanoparticulates and stuff found in it. Fungi,
organic,
different insect RNA,
human blood cells, white blood cells,
human
DNA.
blood cells.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So, and my vote is a combination of the two. I would go with the Reverend Holy Dr. Lindgren's absolutely, positively, maybe. I'll take some of that, and I'm going to put it in the blender with Dr. McCroy's absolutely. I'm going to say, for my take, they absolutely can. I think they have. Do I think it is all the time, every time? No. I think it's in a test platform. I think the quote unquote geoengineering persistent contrails is used for a variety of different things, including the nanoparticulates, especially the aluminum, barium, strontium combo, which again, once it's absorbed into the skin and crosses the blood-brain barrier, I think that's used. I think, and then this gets way out there. This goes to shout out to Richie from Boston on the targeted individuals thing. Most people think that's crazy nuts, but all the patents are out there that it's absolutely has been able. I mean, they've had the patents since the late 1970s, early 1980s. That DARPA held those patents to be able to do direct to your brain voice and music and thoughts and all kinds of stuff. So use as an antenna, a dipolar array for that. Once it gets inside your head, because you have the two hemispheres of your head there, if you polarized it, that's a dipolar array. You could do all kinds of stuff. So, and then with nanorobotics, they've been telling us for years that it's, the cutting edge of sci-fi. To me, that means it's already been done. So, I think that it's been done. I don't think it's a daily occurrence. I think it's a test bed. We'll see.
I think that there's many facets to the whole chemtrailing thing.
Sure.
This is just one part of it. And like you said, it doesn't happen all the time. Like, they're not always spraying this particular set of substances. Okay. But there are other substances they're spraying too for a number of reasons. And a lot of it is because it creates an antenna type effect in the upper ionosphere, for one thing. Mm-hmm. And, so there's a lot of different reasons that they do this. It's a multifaceted kind of a program.
Sure.
And
all the
it's
stuff
one
that
of the
they
biggest
do is,
things going on.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure, from the research I've seen, I've come to the conclusion that most likely the secret space program that everybody talks about has directly to do with this. And I
That's a
think that's
topic I
a
always found
lot
very
of,
interesting.
yeah,
Secret
there's a
space
lot to the
program.
secret space program bit. And I think that by and large, this plays right along with it. You're talking about things like a space fence and things of that nature that Lockheed has been working on. There's a lot going on behind the scenes with this stuff. There's a lot of money tied up in it, and it's being done for multiple reasons. It's a multifaceted type of a platform that they're using to do this. They're using it for different vectors. There's different things they could do weather modification with this stuff, which they have significantly done in the past, and it's feasible they're doing so now with things like the HARP array and similar subsystems that they have worldwide. That's just one facet of the whole program. The
And
other
Karen,
facet, like I said, is this nanotech that they've been spraying as well. And there's other things that I'm sure that we don't even know about that are going on with this stuff. And this is just one of the vectors they're using for it.
Sure. And
So-
Karen B is a rock star because she just tossed in to tie into the HARP
She
thing.
did.
With not only the esoteric 1313. Thank you for that.
Thank you
Karen.
for the super chat. Yep.
Yeah, but the barium and strontium are superconductors, and could they be manipulating the ether or some kind of EM field? Absolutely. I think that one's a hands down. They absolutely are manipulating the ether. They deny, of course, with the
There's no ether.
You're right. With Einstein hand wave dismissing the ether, with his general theory of relatives, his general fear of relatives. There you go. General and. His general fear of special relatives. That's what I call it.
Oh, here comes Aunt Sally.
She's gonna leave
I
the
better
windows
hide in the
again.
closet.
Dang it now! Get back in the basement.
Pretend like we're not home.
I'm going to turn into Boomhauer in a minute. No, but yes, the ether. Yes, again, I'd say absolutely, it's a thing because none of Maxwell's equations don't work without an ether, and that's the basis of all electromagnetic, all of our electronics. So they're talking out both sides of their mouth, and they have been since the turn of the last century. But could they be? They absolutely are with HARP, and then they say that they shut it down. Well, that's because they got 34 different. I mean, that was just a trial run. They got 34 of those things all over the world. I'm not going to say planet, but all over the world, and they absolutely are doing that continually. And I think that when we hear the resonance frequency, that they're changing that. And to me, I see evidence that they're trying to change the core resonance frequency of not only the Earth but of people. I think if you could. From my perspective, if you could change the electromagnetic wave that happens in your thought process and just bump it up even like 0.3%, it would have serious consequences both emotionally and mentally on a person, and could do what is one of the scariest things that I've seen. The results is that what they call being unstuck in time, where people don't relate to the perception of time in the same way, and it makes them psychotic. And they perceive the world at a different rate. Whether that's some people go a little bit forward or some people a little bit backwards. So some people perceive the world as moving in slow motion, and other people perceive the world as going really fast. But if you become just Google it, called unstuck in time is kind of what they call it. That's one of the scariest things that I've seen in terms of potential modification of somebody's their resonant frequency and the frequency at which the brain processes information. If you could alter that, man, that would be to me super ugly. That's one of the I don't like to get scary stuff, but I look at that, I go, that is potential for bad juju.
Well, there's something I want to add to that, by the way, but apparently I just got word we're going to keep going on the Fringe FM for the second hour, so the full show will be continuing out in the Fringe FM. So hello again to everyone on the Fringe FM. I'm glad to have the show there. But anyway, you and I were having a conversation not too long ago, if I remember correctly, that basically the modern physicists or theoretical physicists don't actually have a clue about how things are structured. So this massive amount of data that they can't account for, or the mass is what it is, they just make up a variable that they call dark matter. It's like, oh, well,
Sure.
we need this variable, we need something there, so we're just gonna make some crap up and say, okay, now that equation will work because we want it to work. And when in reality,
yeah, that goes all the way back to the to again Einstein, and when we're looking at the test for ether, and so you have the see, now I'm having the brain fart again. The spinning table with the interferometer. Oh gosh, what? Why did I just suddenly forget it? Right, it's like when I
what are we talking about?
So the test for ether that proved that
the Michelson-Morley experiment.
Michelson-Morley, right? So when they do the Michelson-Morley experiment, right? So doing the spinning thing, and so what they had to come up with when they didn't find Earth rotation, so they had to come up with a reason for that. And the first thing that they reached for was called so Lorentz came up with the Lorentz transformation, and basically he was saying, well, what happened is that the tube through which they were putting the light actually extended by exactly as much as would be noticed in the spinning, and therefore you didn't find the light wave didn't contracted by exactly that. It's like, oh my gosh. So not only was that, I mean, it's obviously cuckoo, but they took the math because again, these math magicians, it doesn't matter if it relates to actual real world or not, as long as it's an elegant formula, that they'll use it. And so they took that and became so now it's called the Lorentz transformation, and you can look that up. And this Lorentz transformation formula is used all over theoretical physics, especially astrophysics and astronomy, because they're not real science, because there is no scientific method that can be done on it, because you can't wiggle it. But anyway, they use this Lorentz transformation anytime that they want to fudge the numbers. If something comes up that gives them unexpected results, what they do is they, instead of throwing out the theory, they just change the results to match it. And so they use the Lorentz transformation. It's a Lorentz transformation is what's called. Then you can put this formula in and make basically any number almost equal to any other number. It's like the old quadratic equation trick that I used to use, that you take a quadratic equation and make any number proven to be any other number. And it only works if you do it in longhand, because there's a secret trick. It's a division by zero error that you never figure out if you do it in longhand. Only if you put it into a computer. But yeah, so this Lorentz transformation, that's what they used to come up. So yeah, they started they used the Newtonian physics for gravity, even though according to Einstein it's a bending of space-time, so that would then obviate Newtonian physics. But so now they're trying to use both, and then they say, well, okay, it doesn't work, and so now we've got dark matter, because that has to be responsible for the math that doesn't work for multi-body orbital mechanics, and so then they figure that out, and then okay, so when it still doesn't work, they just invent stuff out of their ass. It's rectal extractions. Yep. It's unbelievable, and people buy it. I mean, it's like, man, anytime you see a report, and this is like, all you got to do is put on a lab coat, right? And people go, oh, science, science.
Morty, I know how to figure that out. I got the constants. I can fill in those variables. So, Morty.
And I did just a bit of looking in news one month, and like out of 100 quote unquote science articles that I looked through, not a single one of them used any real empirical science, and almost all of them used this phrase at least once, and usually throughout. Scientists believe. I'm like, those words don't go together. Those two are incompatible. It's not believe; it is empirically proven, or it's not. Right? That's the whole basis of what science is. It's to be able to be repeatable and duplicatable, and it's evidence. It's evidence based, not thought experiments. And so anytime you see scientists believe, that's nonsense. Throw it out. Well, that's almost 100% of all the science articles that I read for a month, and I went through all of them. Not a single one used science. So that's how they've hijacked every aspect of science. There's not almost any scientific field now that even uses real science anymore. Right. It's freaking believable. Blows my mind.
Couple points here. First of all, RC sent in a super chat for $9.99 saying thank you, and all I can say is thank you.
Say no, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Second of all, someone's asking about the Tartaria mud flood thing.
Again?
Yeah, and I don't mean to get
That's a
irritated about it,
popular
and I'm not irritated about it. I really have to delve into this at some point because just too many people are on about it. But I'm going to give the brief rundown on how I poke holes in it. And Crow and I have talked about this multiple times, and I think Wayne and I have, and Baldini, have you and I even done this? I think we've done this too.
Is this transhumanist Tartaria?
Yeah, right?
No, we haven't talked about it. I will say that I've heard your take on it. I differ, I think, a little bit. I can get, yeah, but you throw your take out there. I'll tell you my thing. I think there's a there, but I don't think it's where they say
right.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. The one I referred to, because I've had people get really snippy with me over this stuff because, man, some folks are really invested in this thing. The initial videos I had seen on it are talking about this event happening around the time of the American Civil War, so 1860s, right? At the time of the 1860s, there were a gazillion independent newspapers, and I find it ungodly hard to believe that there was no one anywhere at all reporting on any of these things. Nothing about a Tartarian empire, and nothing about giant mud floods burying cities. That's not to say that our history doesn't have some kind of massive obscuring going on. Of course it does. It's something we talk about all the time on Crow 777 Radio, and I'm totally behind that. But the very specific thing, I have to look into it more. And to prove it to myself that there wasn't a worldwide calamity, I went down to the French Quarter in New Orleans, which has been in existence for hundreds of years, and not a single one of the buildings are off kilter, as in like they're buried in the ground or something like that.
Well,
and if any place is gonna be...
On the other hand, Jason, what's the sea level of New Orleans?
Most of it is at or below sea level. It's
below sea level, right?
It's at sea level
without the levees there on the dikes, right? If there was some sinking, where would it be? It'd be underwater. It'd be out in the Gulf. So I think that's
but there's maps that you can use today of the French Quarter that are still the same. I've looked at them. I've wandered around the streets. Like I've tried to do the homework on this with my own 2 feet going down there and look in and out of the streets. Like I've tried to do what I could with what's available to me, and I couldn't prove it. So
well, you know what I found more interesting when I stayed in the French Quarter? I stayed in a little hotel that had been there. It was built in late 1700s. It's one of the oldest still operating hotels, and everything was built for little tiny people.
Well, a lot of folks were small.
I know, little bitty tiny.
Well, it is funny. There's a Civil War museum real close to there, right by Magazine Street, that I've been to, and I'm looking at all the uniforms. I'm like, man, do I feel like a fatty? Now, granted, I could lose 60 pounds easily, but the people themselves were just tiny. I felt like a gargantuan next to these uniforms. I was like, oh my God, was everybody like 5'3"? What is that, like Joe Rogan height? To quote Owen,
the average height was 5'2". I think.
Yeah, they were small. They were really small. They were almost like
little tiny.
They're almost like short Asian stature, like the way you see like the very petite, small boned, that kind of look. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that. Now my guess is that because of a lot of lack of nutrition.
I'm not going to speculate on that one, but I'll just say that my thing on Tartaria. So Tartaria, there was a Tartarian empire. There are maps that represent that.
Oh yeah. There are
books that show that. Again, I love Mattson's, Flat Earth British. I love his stuff. He gets some mind blowing stuff, and I don't. Again, I love that they're speculating and doing that. I love also that they don't necessarily state speculation as fact, because that's where I have a little bugaboo, is when you start going, it is absolutely like this, and people are stupid if they don't think that. That bugs me. I think there's a there. I think something unusual happened. I don't find evidence for it being global and worldwide. I think there,
right.
It seems to be specific locations. There's some weird things, and the Orphan trains is certainly some weird stuff. I really am into the Antiquitech, and I find evidence for even current buildings, some of them, but like even downtown Seattle, there are buildings that have what appear to be these free energy ether collecting devices on them. Pretty interesting stuff. So in terms of all that, I think there's a there. I don't necessarily think Tartaria and Mudflood are tied together. That may be kind of a red herring. I think it may be another. So it's sort of the same as my take on like flat Earth, right? Is that I think it's it was an intentional leak of information, but only enough and a little bit of distortion to get people running around rabbit holes. And also it's a litmus test to see who's going to buy and who's not, and who's at the programming and who's not. I think there's definitely accurate information in there somewhere. I just don't think it's tied together the way I struggle with trying to put things back together. So like the Scalagerian timeline, it's a poppycock, right? That's a total poppycock from top down.
It's the Jesuit timeline.
Well, it's Jesuits with the Benedictines working as their little slave boys, making up history, right, from out of whole cloth. So trying to put it all back together is nearly impossible because they did a really good job of not only doing that, but finding, and that seems to be the whole point of, Spain and Portugal running all over the world for exploration, quote unquote, and the British Empire making an empire, is that, instead of bringing in, quote unquote, Christianity and Jesus, what they were doing is looking for cultures that still had any remnants of this past, probably antediluvian history, but certainly some previous history, and destroying them, and saying it was, because they were pagans and witches and devil worshippers, that they had to, get rid of those chieftains and those, anybody that knew any history, because most of the history was oral, but anything especially written down, and they had to get rid of that because it was of the devil. Hallelujah. And so. Yeah, so that's my take on it. Is that I see the Catholic Church used very powerfully over a long period of time to completely distort, disrupt, and trash history as we know it. And so in terms of all that stuff, I go, yeah, there. Yeah, something weird happened. Yeah, there's a bunch of buildings that seem to be half buried. Why? Fuck if I know. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't claim to know. I like to look more into it, but all the separate pieces, the orphan trains, what you got, quantum of conscious. Matt is looking at the World's Fairs, and there's definitely a there. So yeah, there's weird stuff all over, and I just go back to, I don't trust anything they tell us. I can only chew up, how do you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. I chew up little bits and pieces and keep my eyes open and go, nothing is as they tell us. And
that's me, and I like elephants.
I love elephants, man. They're better than we are. Most animals are better than most people. But anyway, so that's my take on Tartaria. Is like, go after it, run and learn all you can. But be careful about saying it's absolutely this, and people are stupid and retarded if they don't buy your theory, because you can't prove it.
Right. Well, that's it. Big people take it way too hard, and I just blew a hole in it. It was like, okay, so if this happened at this time, where are the reports? Like, there aren't any. So I'm not saying nothing ever happened. I just don't think that they're getting the facts right or the time right or any of that stuff. But
yeah, and I love what Crow said the other day. I think it was really, I said I think that's wisdom, right? Is that he says there's no positive to him doing it right now, because if he poo-poos it, people are going to get upset, and there is some poo-poo there.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't cover it, right, that people are going to get upset that you don't cover it. It just doesn't seem for you guys like. Here's my take. I mean, I'm probably talking out of school here because it's not my thing, but you and Crow got a thing going on. It's like what you guys have brought us for the last 3 or 4 years, right? Is bringing new stuff that we should all look into, right? So what's the value of going back into stuff that other people are already looking into and going, shit, I don't know, right? I mean, they just want people to put a stamp on it because people want to idolize people, and Crow is developed himself as a very broad thinking guy who's no nonsense and doesn't put up with poppycock, and so people want him to put their stamp on it so he can approve their theory. That's kind of what I see, is that they want him to say, they want him to say that their thing is right so that they can get that to back. Anyway, I mean, I love the guy. I thought that was really smart, and just to go, don't want to disappoint you, but there's no value. I mean, just like him, I'm interested in it, but I'm not going to put my foot down on anything and go, I can't support anybody's theory. I'm curious about it. I think there's there, but I don't see a lot of value in, pissing off a whole bunch of people because they're going to get butthurt because you didn't like their theory, just like the no trees on flat Earth, right? It's like, it was curious and it's interesting, and there might be some tangential stuff, just like what was the other guy, the Mud Fossil University, right? Some of his stuff is interesting. Some of it's wackier than hell. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Do you know anything about that? The Mud Fossil guy?
I've heard of all that stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting, and some of it certainly is. It's interesting.
It's interesting, but you're exactly right. It's hard to prove any of these things. And the only thing I could do to even get into any of this was what I did do. I went to the oldest place that was available to me, which actually is pretty old for America as far as the United States is concerned. So I went there, and I there was no there. So I don't want to take up any more of our time on this. It's already 20 after 9, and we haven't even touched hardly on Ray or Zoltan. So let's just say that we don't know, and it's interesting.
I was just going to say on your New Orleans thing, you go, there's a there, just not a there.
Exactly, and
there's
that's
just not a there. Yeah,
but anyway, let's get back to talk about Ray Kurzweil, and I have some predictions here. So for the early 20th century, I'll just go through a few of these, and these are things he had said in books that had come out many years earlier. So obviously he was forward thinking in a way. So the classroom is dominated by computers. I would say that's absolutely spot on. A small number of highly skilled people dominate the entire production sector.
Well, okay, before you go any further with this, because I've read some of them, but not all of them, and as you read this, I'm just going to pitch out there. Maybe for people listening, take a look at this in the same way that I look at Orwell, is that not necessarily futurism as in he predicted it, as in he's telling you what their plans are in advance. And if you look at it from that perspective, I think you can come away going, oh yeah, and instead of going, wow, that guy was amazing. Oh my god. You go.
Well, when you're working for one of the biggest
freak.
companies that does this stuff, you might know a thing or three, right?
Yeah, I would think. Yeah.
That would explain
if you're working
95% accuracy.
Yeah, if you're working for the people who are doing it, there's not much magic in opening the kimono a little bit and saying, here's what we're gonna do. Moose and squirrel, right? Okay.
So this last one, a small number of highly skilled people dominate the entire production sector. I don't know if I would say the entire production sector, because there's a lot of just cheap crap being made that's stamped out a lot of times overseas from the United States. But I would say that as far as anything important, that is dominated by a very small group of people. What say you guys?
Yeah,
and especially the tech sector.
Sure, and I would say
everything is gearing more and more towards to be part of the tech sector.
Sure, and I think with any prognostication, in order to be taken seriously and to not tip the hat that you're that you are running a script, is you got to miss a little bit, right? You got to get real close and miss a few, and then have a couple of wild swing and misses just to make it look legitimate.
Yeah, and Kurzweil definitely does that in spades.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at a lot of his predictions. So that's the thing. I mean, he's got this massive accuracy rate. He's one of the insiders that plans this stuff. So that's just goes without saying.
Yeah.
That of course this stuff's going to come to pass at some point. If you're part of the planning committee for this, of course you know this is going to be the thing.
So we're all in agreement on that. Is that these guys are not, they don't have a crystal ball. They're just they're on the coaching team.
Track.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So let's do a compare and contrasting of Elon and Ray Kurzweil, because the one thing that definitely jumps out at me is Ray Kurzweil does seem like he's a very sharp individual.
He is a smart guy.
He's a smart
absolutely,
cookie.
And he has much better hair, and it's real. Maybe. Allegedly.
Maybe.
No, I keep making jokes about that because it's something that jumped out at me a while ago. Like, I'd seen some earlier stuff with Ray, and his hair looked terrible. And I know he takes like some ungodly amount of vitamins and different supplements, things like that every day. And I wonder,
adrenochrome.
I don't know, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, what is he on? Because honestly, for how old he is, he's started to look way better as opposed to way worse as the years have gone by. And
in the last 20 years, he has remarkably looked better than he did before.
Like in his 50s compared to now. That's why I keep making jokes about his hair. Like, his hair is fuller and thicker, and I mean, that's not to say he couldn't have had something done, but it's just like, but it looks real because it's not perfect. It just looks better than he had, and it was a joke to myself. But it's like, well, apparently he's doing something right,
Yeah. Well, adrenochrome.
Man,
I'm sure he has access to medical care that we do not. So,
well, he's very obsessed.
That's one of the other things.
I saw a program a few years back that actually William Shatner was on as well. He's friends with Ray Kurzweil. Apparently, both of them are very obsessed.
Imagine that.
with anti-aging and all that. And, I'm right there with them. I don't want to get old either. So whatever your secret is, send me an email at secretsofsaturn@gmail.com.
Adrenochrome. They're going to tell you to bring them some babies, and they'll tell you the secret. So,
pass on that one.
Yeah, right. So Ray Kurzweil, he really is the real deal in terms of being a smart guy. He's not Elon Musk. He really is really bright, and he's got his fingers in a lot of different things and a lot of interests. He was insofar as when I look at his career, co-opted very early on. He got brought into the fold very early on, it's like the mad scientist that you see in the bad sci-fi movies.
Yeah, pretty much.
So let's jump ahead here.
My take on him too.
Let's jump ahead here. We got 2010. PCs are capable of answering queries by accessing information wirelessly via the internet. Now, I don't know if that was 2010, but we certainly have that now for the past few years with stupid things like Alexa and Siri and all that.
Mm-hmm. And Watson was a demonstration of that, winning the Jeopardy.
Yep.
So
he was ballpark with the prediction. It was close. If it wasn't 2010, it was very near 2010.
Well, the other thing is that we don't know is they could have had technology that was working as prototypes or like pre-production, but they had the technology functional and they just hadn't mass marketed it yet. So there's also the possibility that he knew that circa this time frame, this is going to be working.
That's when they would mass market it. Yep.
Yeah, it's like, okay, sometime shortly around there is when we're going to put this out to the general public.
Because I would conjecture anything that came out in 2010 is probably more likely 1980s technology.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah. So if they say 2010, it's 1987. I also noticed in the chat that Rose says that she just looks at people and says, hot or not hot?
Hot or not?
Hot or not? So Ray Kurzweil, hot or not?
Depends on whether you like the little nerdy Jewish type.
Yeah, well, we all went Elon Musk, not. I think we all agreed on not. So Ray Kurzweil, hot or not?
I'm going to go with not as well. So
okay,
we'll leave that up to the general public. I don't really want to judge people's looks here.
Well, I was thinking more in an intellectual capacity because I see brains. I'm like a zombie rat. Brains.
How his brain works.
No doubt he's a brainy guy.
Yeah, I would say that. So Elon Musk, not hot. He's running on 4 cylinders. And then you got Ray Kurzweil. He's got the old rotary engine going. He's definitely got it going on. He's smart, but I think again co-opted very early on, and revealing the script. And Jason, read us more of those fabulous predictions. So again, when did he make these? This is the 90s, right? Like
these are like his books from like the late 90s and early 2000s.
Late 90s. Okay,
this is kind of like a conglomerate. Well, let me see. Let me run back and make sure I'm telling you the right thing. Yeah, this is from the Age of Intelligent Machines from 1990 that I'm going from right now.
Okay, I was going to say it was early 90s. Yeah. So
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Go. All right. Go. So that helps me put it in context.
Right, and we have a couple more we can go through. I think we got time to do a few more of these. A number of highly skilled people. Oops, I did that one. Oopsie, live radio. All right, a fully matured cloud computing network. Computers will tap into the worldwide mesh, what the World Wide Web will become once all of its linked devices become communicating web servers, thereby forming vast supercomputers and memory banks of high-speed communications and computational resources. So he was saying that in 1990. How cute!
Isn't that special? That's so special. Wonder who could have made him say that. Maybe, I don't know. Satan? Satan? Sorry, that's a church chat reference. Saturday Night Live for all you younger folks. Us old people, we get the reference.
Yeah,
we do.
All us old guys, we know this stuff, but the young folks may not.
Yeah,
pick up on some of it.
Yeah, they just went sideways. They're like, "What?" I was like, "That's Dana Carvey. It's a Saturday Night Live church chat. Just YouTube.
Look up church lady.
Church lady. Yeah."
Now, okay, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here. 2020. By 2020, there will be a new world government. Well, that's in what, 2 weeks?
Isn't that special?
In 2 weeks, we will have the new world order.
Yes, it's a new world order, as Mr. Kissinger would say, Dr.
Yeah,
Kissinger.
It's not new. It's
great
not
chance
over
for
the
a new
world,
world
and it's
order.
not order. Yeah. So, yeah, I keep saying this one. Here's my warning on that one: is that what I see coming is that they're putting out the air of desperation, making it look like they're losing control, and I don't buy it for a minute. To me, it's the magician's trick. Look over here, and they're going to say the new world order fails, and we're going to bring in the savior, which is AI or aliens or a combination of the two. I think they're going to make it seem as though the new world order failed, and they're going to bring in real order out of chaos. That's
Well,
my
they probably
take.
got a couple scenarios, if I had to conjecture here, and they're just testing the waters to see which one will be the one that people will swallow the easiest. But it's all going to be the same end agenda.
Mm-hmm. No,
Oh yeah, the end game's the same, no matter
absolutely.
what face they put on it.
Precisely. That's exactly. Doesn't matter what clothes they're wearing. The same guys underneath it.
So just to be really clear here, this is from a book from 1990 that Kurzweil wrote called, let me tell everybody in case they're interested, The Age of Intelligent Machines, published 1990. So he said by 2020 there will be a new world government. He also said 2020 plus a computer will pass the Turing test, becoming the first true artificial intelligence. Now, Wayne, you've talked about this a lot. Do you want to give a quick explanation on what the Turing test is?
Basically, what the Turing test is this is a kind of mark, a line that they drew to determine when a computer could actually pass off in a conversation or something with a human being as a human being, with the person on the other end of the conversation not realizing that they've been chatting with a computer. Now, this has been done. This has arguably been done. They passed off a couple years back. I forget exactly what year it was. You're talking 2013, 2014-ish, if I remember correctly.
Yep, with chatbots, yeah.
Yeah, with chatbots, they were
I
able
tried
to
one of
pull
those, but
this
it
off.
butchered the conversation.
They made somebody believe that they were speaking to a 13-year-old boy, if I'm not mistaken.
And I believe the chatbots that butcher the conversations are there to make you think that you would know, right? And I think many of the bots that come into and harass like truther channels are bots. And I think the idea is, again, to make you think that technology is not there. Oh, I would know because I've interacted with chatbots and I can tell that they can't do it, when you don't really know what's happening. And by the way, they passed the Turing test and I passed the Tourette's test.
Get this man another cup of coffee.
Indeed.
All right, I want to jump forward here on these because I still want to at least mention a little bit on Zoltan Istvan. Kurzweil has even wagered that his predictions, and there are quite a few of them just from this 1990 book, that they'll be true on the site Long Bets, betting against Mitchell Kapoor, founder of Lotus Software Corporation, for a payout of $20,000 or $10,000 each. Well, that's very interesting. And then he said in that book, centuries from now, computer intelligence becomes superior to human intelligence in all areas. Now, the next book is The Age of Spiritual Machines from 1999. And his first group of predictions are for 2009, which obviously is 10 years ago. Personal computers are available in a wide range of sizes and shapes and are commonly embedded in clothing and jewelry such as wristwatches, rings, earrings, and other body ornaments. Well, not quite, but they definitely were available in a lot of shapes and sizes 10 years ago, right?
What makes you think that they aren't embedding things in clothes and items that you buy now and just not telling you? What would make you for a moment think that it's not already there?
True enough.
Yeah, I would speculate it probably is already there.
I mean, just so imagine the scenario. You go down to, it doesn't matter, I would say Walmart, but I wouldn't go there. But let's say you go down to the Gap or wherever you do your shopping, and again, they're monitoring everything you do and all your purchases, and you get the chip in your card. So you buy an article of clothing. It's got an RFID tag in it. They scan it. And so immediately they connect that piece of article of clothing or that purse or jewelry or whatever with you because you bought it, and they could do it in real time. And now they've got another bit of tracking on you, or if it's clothing, EMF, or it's in your jacket, or what makes you think that hasn't happened already?
No, I'm with you. I totally am. So how about when we jump up to 2019? The computational capacity of a $4,000 computing device that was in $1999, so it's probably a little bit more now, is approximately equal to the computational capability of the human brain, which is 20 quadrillion calculations per second. I don't know if that one's true. Either you guys know?
No. No,
I don't know.
Well, I'm looking
I don't
at a
know if that's
computer
true or
that it
not.
would be approximately that, and I don't think this iMac Pro is smarter than
not for
Wayne.
public consumption. No,
Not for public consumption. Now, could they build it?
Yes. Well, okay. So
Maybe.
if linked, maybe. I don't. But here's to me again. The thing is that I disagree with the idea of trying to directly one-to-one correlate the human brain to a computer. They've been trying for a long time to make humans and machines identical and using the same language. Even as far back as you go into the 50s and talking about nutrition and foods, they try to, you're feeding the engine and do all this. They're trying to make you put those things together and conflate the human body with some sort of machine. But I guarantee you, if you take a machine apart, you put it back together, you can make it work. You can't do that with a human body. It's not the same. So the same with trying to make the brain like a computer. They've tried to equate those and conflate those in our minds so that we consider them the same. But it's not a matter of processes per second, right? There's this not only just the intuition and the way that we process information, but we're human and we have that divine spark, and we are not in any way like a computer. So I don't care how fast a computer gets and has the access to information. It's never going to be, and this is where I think the lie about AI is, I don't think it's ever going to be sentient in the way that they want to tell us. I think that it may appear to be, and I think there's a open possibility for unseen, multidimensional beings, for example, taking it over and making it seem as though it is sentient, but it's not a computer. It's not going to be a computer. It's not going to be sentient in that way. It may appear to be. It could do a lot of processes, but no, I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, let me throw this out there.
And that's exactly why they need to do the whole transhumanist thing.
Right.
Exactly
the integration, because that's where it's going to really
the integration.
But as far as comparing a super speedy computer to a human, it can outcalculate us probably 20 years ago, no problem. That's not the issue.
No problem.
But here's the thing. Why do I like the color blue? Why is that my favorite color? Like these kinds of things. Why do I like coffee over tea? Things that make humans humans. Like these are things that a computer would never experience. Why do I like New Orleans over Los Angeles? The things that emotional thing. I'm trying to think of things that have an emotional response. I mean, like why do I have feelings for Rose? Why do I have this? Why do I have that?
You're talking preferences, and I'll throw you this way. Why does everyone, when they see a waterfall, go, "Wow, that's beautiful"? This is the stuff that gets me. What makes they hear music and they go, "That's beautiful," right? Machines won't do that. And why? Who told us that was beautiful? When you see a sunset, every person throughout every culture over time, no matter what your societal background or no matter what the way you were raised, I've never met anybody who can look at a sunset on the beach and not go, "Damn, that's beautiful." Who told you that was beautiful? And to me, that's again go back to the divine spark and that we carry this imprint of something special, right? And again, I don't think a computer is ever going to do that. And so it's not a matter of preferences. When you say, "Why do you prefer the coffee over tea?" I go, advertising.
Well, I say taste.
We're easily influenced and we're easily hacked. But what makes us human, to me, is relationships. A computer will never get into a relationship with another computer unless it wants to find out information, right? It's always going to be self-interested. And so altruism will never be true from a computer. But I think back to Ray Kurzweil's his prognostication there. What I've seen over time for a very long time is that the computing power increases. What I found fascinating is that going all the way back to the late 1970s, early 1980s, that the price of computers. Now, this new iMac is kind of out of the ballpark a little bit, but for the most part, computer prices have been pretty solid as an entry-level machine. Now, again, laptops, some of the Chromebooks and stuff are breaking the bottom in too, but mostly around $600 to $700 is sort of your entry-level deal. A good solid machine will cost you $1,200 to $1,500, and a premium machine is about $2,200. And that's been consistent since the 1970s. Like since you could buy TRS-80 from Radio Shack, those three price points have been fairly consistent throughout. So the computing power goes up, the price point stays the same. They're taking you for whatever they think you can afford to spend and make it desirable. And I think that's exactly what you're going to see with transhumanism, is this desirability. There's going to be these points of entry, right? That you're going to want to get in on. Again, the fear of missing out.
So how about this one? People communicate with their computers via two-way speech and gestures instead of with keyboards. Furthermore,
never happen.
Most of this interaction occurs through computerized assistants with different personalities that the user can select or customize. Dealing with computers thus becomes more and more like dealing with a human being. I think they're getting there.
Telling me's wrong.
Yeah, the last part is stretching too far, but the first chunk of it, well, we do that.
No, even the last part of it. Alexa, tell him he's wrong, right? I mean, we do interact.
Yeah.
Right. So
You are wrong.
Yeah, exactly. You are wrong. Yeah, I think that they're again breaking it in, and I don't know. I'll say it again. I think that part of the thing about failed technology is a fake. It's to make you think that the technology isn't there yet. So even the failures of Alexa and Bing and Google, when you see just like the Elon Musk thing with the window shattering, you think that was a mistake?
No.
No. So again, these things are on purpose. It's part of, like Wayne says, it's the magician's trick. It sets you up for believing a certain thing because they imply it. And I think the same thing is true with technology, whether it's AI, whether it's any of these things. They make you believe that the technology isn't there yet, so that you won't accept that it already is.
Right. I agree with that assessment too, because I could tell you, just from some of the things that I've researched and seen, the state of technology today, it's far in advance of what we see in the public sector. Mm-hmm. So, it's one of those things. I think they do put this stuff out there and have it fail purposely, so people think that's ridiculous. That can't possibly be something that's going on. Like as far as even something like the nanotechnology we talked about earlier.
Yep.
People think that's ridiculous because they put stuff out here that makes you think that's ridiculous because they've done this and it's failed and you can't see any results from it.
It's the same appeal to incredulity that people use with, they couldn't keep a blowjob a secret. Nobody keep a conspiracy like the moon landing because they can't even keep a blowjob a secret. Come on. I mean, again, if you don't think people are keeping secrets,
people like to get paid.
I got a bridge.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest here, gentlemen. People like money and lattes.
I like a lot of lattes. And I bravely admit that. No, sorry.
Pun intended, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's a joke. The jokes aren't going to get any better. I promise. I've been doing it for a long time. They never get any better. No, I'm sorry. I just saw Jason's face from like 10 seconds ago, and he was laughing in the midst of silence, and I was like, "What the hell is going on there?" Yeah. So
we need a third hour here. We didn't even get through anywhere near what I wanted to, and we haven't stopped talking the whole time.
Zoltan, the Church
really.
of
we didn't
Church
even get to Church Lady Zoltan.
Yeah.
Just to put a cap on Kurzweil, 2045 is the year he says the singularity is going to come. Whatever he really means by that, I know what he means by that. But Wayne, you want to break down the singularity real quick, and then we'll hit on Zoltan for a bit.
All right. Well, Kurzweil's talking 2045 as the year of the singularity, and what this singularity is this is the point wherein the technology reaches such a degree of advancement that it cannot go any further, and we will merge with the technology, and it'll all become one networked entity altogether. And this is what the transhumanists are working towards. They want to achieve this. This is like your Borg state, to use the Star Trek idea. This is your Borg collective. This is what they're looking for. This is what they're working towards. And at this point, the entirety of how we function as human beings and how the world functions will completely change. and it'll happen so rapidly. It'll be like an overnight thing. Everything will be completely different.
And so here's the question. Again, I have my opinions on this, but get your opinion, Wayne. I think I already know what it's going to be. I'll prognosticate, but do you think that will be compulsory?
At some point, I would say, yeah, it's going to be a compulsory thing. Either you're part of the collective or you get wiped out, and that's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah,
this is like a Terminator type scenario. It's one of those things where you're either in or you're out, and there's not going to be any happy medium. This is the whole thing that the whole Mark of the Beast idea is based upon.
Great.
You're in or you're out.
I think you're not just out, but you're going to be considered a threat, right? So you are the domestic hero.
So you will be eliminated. You will be eliminated if you do not participate in this system.
Yep. You're not,
because that's what it's going to be all about. You won't be able to do anything without participating in the system.
Yeah, and you're not just a threat, and you're not, you are literally, I think the pitch is going to be, you're literally holding back the evolution of mankind. And so anybody who resists, resistance is futile, but anybody who resists is literally going to be accused of holding back mankind from taking the next glorious step in his evolution, and we cannot allow that to happen.
It'll be the new heresy. The new blasphemy.
Exactly.
That's what it's all about. I mean, you can see this. You can see this foreshadowed with the whole vaccine movement right now.
Oh yes.
That's exactly what this is going to be. This is what that'll be on steroids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's the thing. You're an anti-vaxxer. You can't, let your kid go to school. Blah,
can't
blah,
take
blah,
a flight.
Yeah. Stay away from me. Yeah. Stay away from me. You germ monger. You disease spreader. That's what this mentality is going to be.
Yeah, pretty soon.
And it'll be even worse because all the collective minds will be networked together.
Yeah, I think pretty soon that you'll see with even the vaccination thing that you're going to be you're not going to be able to go into public buildings like a courthouse or that sort of stuff if you don't on your true ID, your real ID or whatever. It's going to be part of that you have to have your vaccinations up to date, and if you don't have that check mark, you won't be able to get your car licensed. You won't be able to do anything without that tick box check because you're a danger to mankind. Because
I saw, as an aside, that's a little interesting. I saw today an article come up that was talking about how they're coming out with a vaccine for stress, a stress vaccine.
Nice.
I kid you not. I kid you not.
That's going to sell like hotcakes.
Well, that stresses me out.
I've always wondered how hotcakes sell. By the way, I mean I love them, but.
No, hotcakes. What else sells like hotcakes? I mean,
flapjacks.
It's the comparison. No, things don't sell like flapjacks. They sell like
short stack.
hotcakes.
No, see, you said what sells like hotcakes? I'm like flapjacks. Pancakes.
No, they don't.
It's
not the same.
Okay, all right. Crepes.
Not the same thing.
Smoking a pancake, bonging a blintz, cigar and a waffle.
Oh, so Wayne, before we move on to Zoltan here, why don't you do the article about the age thing that we were talking about earlier?
Oh yeah, I almost forgot. We wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that one too.
A recent scientific article just came out stating that through DNA analysis and whatnot, they determined that the natural human lifespan is only 38 years. The natural human lifespan, they claim, is only 38 years. And they attribute our longevity to our quote-unquote superior lifestyle that we lead now.
I would have been dead for 8 years
and
already.
our superior medical systems.
And vaccinations, I'm sure. Because of vaccinations.
No doubt. Because, they've saved countless millions of lives. Like, I don't know how they get those numbers. How do you prove any of that? It's like saying, I saved... It's like saying today I saved 14 lives by not driving anywhere today. It's the same thing.
That sounds like a Geico commercial.
It's the same thing.
That really makes me want to throat punch somebody. I got to tell you.
Doesn't it?
I'm not a violent guy.
So you want to talk about some poppycock. So yeah, 38, I don't think so. Not unless you're living somewhere with like a Mad Max scenario where people are beating each other over the head with clubs with spikes hanging out of them all the time, or you're living in massive malnutrition and just barely making it by. But anyway, we wanted to point that article out because that sounds like massive fear porn to me. So be thankful for your vaccines because you will live beyond 38. Well, I'm 46,
right,
and I haven't had a vaccine in a very, 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 very long time, I assure you.
And you look great.
Thank you.
Right. And that's the same thing. This ties hand in hand with the whole transhumanist push, because that's what they're going to say. Well, you want to be a natural human being, you'll only live to be 38 years old. Whereas if you take on this whole transhumanist thing, you could live in forever.
Ray Kurzweil says he's going for $1.25. I mean, he just said
just think what his hair will look like by then.
It'll be long. Yeah, right. He'll have long hair.
Maybe
long
that's
blonde.
what Bigfoot is, huh?
Oh man, I didn't even think about it. They got so much hair it just grew all over.
He's gonna have a Beatles mop top.
They have been follicularly modified. I like it. No, this is good stuff. I like you, Wayne. This is the first time we've really got to talk. That's you're a pretty cool cat, man.
Thanks, man. I think we jive on a lot of different levels. So
I speak jive.
You speak jive?
I think
Chump don't want no hair. Chump don't get no hair. Shit. Ain't nothing but a thing.
All right, we are almost out of time, so let's jump on old Zoltan here.
I don't want to.
He's a handsome fellow. About Zoltan, he is an entrepreneur, author, and futurist. He was born in California and is often cited as a global leader of the radical science movement. A humanitarian activist and former journalist for National Geographic, Zoltan has traveled to over 100 countries and has a degree in philosophy and religion from Columbia University. By the way, this is on his Zoltan 2020 because he is once again running for president.
Yeah. Oh, I know he's running.
But he's running as a Republican this
president.
time. Last time he did it as his other party thingy, but we'll get to that in a moment.
The Transhumanist Party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has consulted for the U.S. Navy and the government of Dubai as a futurist and given speeches at conferences around the world, including at the World Bank, the World Economic Forum, and various global leader forums. He has written 3 books, best-selling novel The Transhumanist Wager, The Futurist Cure, and his latest book of political essays, which reached #1 in politics on Amazon, called Upgrading America, and that's also what he's running his 2020 campaign on. Now, what's interesting is he didn't do that well. I mean, nobody does as an independent. The last time in 2016.
According to USA Today, Zoltan estimates that he has between 250,000 and 1 million supporters.
That's a good. That's
no, really.
That's a kind of.
I caught a fish this big.
Yeah. Exactly. I have between $1 and $20.
That's a pretty broad range to go.
And according to him, he estimates that he has that. So, according to USA Today, they're not going to do any research. They just say, "Hey, this guy says he has." That's outstanding fact checking journalism.
Hey, that's how vaccines work too.
That's right.
What a coincidence. That's how vaccines work. They saved somewhere between 20 and 50 million people. You know how that is.
It's going to be about 350
today.
It says so right there on the CDC website.
You're alive today because of Jonas Salk. I swear to God.
In October 7th, 2014, Zoltan founded the Transhumanist Party. Now, what he says as far as their little taglines is putting science, health, and technology at the forefront of American politics. But he's not running on that party this time. He's running on the good old stand-alone Republican Party, I guess, so he might actually have a chance because everybody knows that we have a bullshit two-party system and no one is ever going to get into the presidency who's not in one of those two parties.
To me, a whole bunch of transhumanists standing around does not sound like a party I want to go to.
Well,
that's just me.
I hear it's very binary.
Oh, it's
non-binary. So it'll be non-binary. Non-binary. That's the direction it's going.
It'd be very fluid. It'd be a quantum party.
Well, right, and this is something that we've said a lot here because we're running out of time. That the big push with this whole gender fluidity and that you don't have to be anything crap is that it's very easy, or at least a lot easier, to convince someone to start merging with machinery when they don't even know if they're a boy or a girl. I mean, you're already an it of some sort, so, well, let's start taking your arms and legs off and your eyes, and let's put 3 chips in your head, and let's run this down your throat, and you can talk like Darth Vader if you want. I mean, this is where we're going. And you're already starting to see big pushes for this, of course, in entertainment media. Big example, I was watching Alita Battle Angel last night just to have something as a reference for this show we're doing today. And, of course, everybody's walking the streets where they've got limb replacements or just cybernetics of all sorts. As a matter of fact, there were quite a few characters that were barely human at all. They had like a head and then their spinal cord and everything was all encased in cybernetic implants, and then that connected into whatever body they wanted to. It was just, I mean, technology that's obviously, no matter what we think about the military, I doubt very much they're that far ahead. But the whole idea was how normal it was for people to walk down the street with a giant cybernetic arm and things like that. And I think that this is all the normalization that they're going to start coming. And what do we have? We have Neuralink coming out, Human Trials 2020 in the public. But since we're running out of time real quick here, what do you guys
want to... again, let's go back to, so let's segue, all the way back to the beginning, is that Neuralink is that's the showpiece, right? That's not the real one. That's the one to get it out. It's Elon Musk, right? It's the joke. That's the clown show, right? So that's the TV version, the made-for-TV version, while the military-industrial complex breaks out the real stuff. And I got to guess that if I start putting all these things together, I'll go back to the vaccines. It's probably going to be implanted in a vaccine, and you got it maybe before you even know it. You agree to the vaccine, they can make that. They could drop it right in there. It's in the paperwork. You didn't read the insert, did you?
No, and that's coming. And
so
that's the
all the way back
to
what Wayne said at the beginning, right? Is that the release and hold harmless? They take their liability out. You click here, just click here to accept. Right? It says right there that there's might be a thing injected, and we'll monitor whatever. Right? So,
caution may irreversibly alter your brain chemistry.
Right.
And what's in all of this stuff? What's
side effects include? Yeah, exactly. Uncontrollable anal discharge. Right. So yeah.
Well, besides that,
all the good side effects.
But let's talk about as far as what is in the air we're breathing now with all the chemtrails, metallic particles. What's in the vaccines? They want to shoot you up with 10,000 times a year. Metallic particles. But we've only got 5 minutes left here. How do we want to round up your final thoughts here, fellas, on this transhumanist movement? Whichever one of you wants to go first on where we're at and where we're going with this stuff.
I'll go first because it's Wayne's going to have the final word because he's more important. So I'll get mine done and out of the way.
I don't know about that.
Nah, dude, you've written 2 books on it. What are you kidding?
Right?
I mean,
third one's coming.
I'm sitting over here going, "Hey,
well done.
I can make a good cup of coffee." I don't know.
And you will be for me one day.
I will indeed. You know it, and you'll never go back. So you'll be spoiled for life. So yeah, I think Wayne should wrap it up and go last. So I'll go first because I'm the least important guy. So I'll just say, yeah. I mean, ultimately, I'd say, hey, don't be afraid, but don't trust anybody, right? But with transhumanism, I think that we didn't get to it, but probably, we kind of danced around it the whole night. And Wayne said it, the whole kind of mark of the beast thing, in the hand of the head. I think that is one way of putting it. I think that there are a lot of mythos about the coming, if you want to call it singularity, or the compulsory joining of a mass collective. And I think when you add the technology into it, along with the spiritual component, it's bad news for anybody who agrees to it. But it's going to be a compulsory. You agree, or you're either in or you're out. There's no in between. So you need to start looking at these things now. It'll be a tough decision to make if you're now worried about you can't speak truth for fear of your job or that sort of stuff. When it comes to your life and your family's life, I don't know. Take a look at it, but yeah, don't trust anything they want to stick into you, and don't trust anything they tell you. That's what the Great Baldini says.
And well put. And I'll agree with that assessment 100%. The thing with this stuff is it's coming whether we're ready or not, and we need to start speaking out and standing up against it so that we're not given that scenario where we have no choice but to either do this or perish. And that's what it's coming down to. And this has real spiritual ramifications for people. You have to decide, am I going to be a natural man, or am I going to become the new artificial man that they're pushing for, that they claim is superior, but it really is not. This is not a superior lifestyle in any way, shape, or form. The transhumanist thing, it's rolling out, whether we want it to or not. So we need to be prepared for it, and we need to look at ourselves, in a more introverted sense, and look at our own spiritual walks, and decide what side are we going to stand on when this all comes down, because it's coming to a head, and it's going to be coming to a head within the next at least couple decades here. where we're going to see the big push for this being on. And it's going to come down to a choice that you make, because, like it or not, they can't eliminate the free will principle out of things. And that's one of the things that they absolutely need. They need consent and free will to do anything like this to you. But they view your lack of speaking out against it as your consent. Mm-hmm. So that's why we need to be proactive with these
tacit
things
approval
and speak out.
Yeah,
and that's what it's all about. So there's a lot of different aspects and stuff involved with all this stuff. As Baldini has said, I've written 2 books on the subject already, and my 3rd one will be out sometime in the springtime here.
Wayne,
and that one's going to be called. Okay.
Go ahead and tell everybody. We'll tell the title, but where they can find the other books too, because you're fantastic.
My books are available on Amazon or pretty much anywhere else. You could even just look up my name, Wayne McCroy, on there, author, and my books will pop up on there. My new book is going to be titled Cybernetic Messiah, Building the Antichrist System. And that's coming spring 2020. So I'm looking forward to putting that one out too. So once again, thank everybody for coming out and joining us here tonight on Secrets of Saturn. Thank you to the people on the Fringe FM. Thanks for tuning in. Jason, want to close it on up?
Baldini, thank you for joining us this week, and we'll definitely have you back. Wayne,
thanks for having me.
As always, I've been an absolute pleasure being with you, my friend. And thank you to all the wonderful people in the chat room. We had 130 some folks, I think, at maximum. The Fringe, to Joe Roop, he's awesome. Thank you for having us. And that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everybody has a great night. Take care. Might be back next week. I got to find out about that. So I'll post everywhere as soon as I find out who's available and who's not. Take care, everyone. Thank you.